All right, guys. So I'm going to go over with you real quick what we're going to have to do today for our asynchronous assignment. So by now, this should be assigned to you in your Google Classroom on the classwork page. It's called French Revolution DBQ Organizer. So when you go in here, you will find this graphic organizer. And this is what we're going to start working on today for the asynchronous assignment. So I'm going to go over with you how it's constructed, what are all the different pieces of it, how it's used, and how to complete it. So I'm going to kind of give you the full rundown here. So the first thing I'd like to start out with is this first page here has a couple of important things on it. Analysis sentence starters are here. We can kind of come back to that. So let's start with what can be found on the first page that's going to be important to us. So here we have the first two boxes here are for the introduction and the conclusion of your essay. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to use this graphic organizer to map out all of the different parts of our essay. And we're going to fill in each section of the graphic organizer with the appropriate information for the corresponding part of the essay. So we went over the task page the other day, but just to kind of revisit the task page is here and it's been shared with you guys also. The task page has 3 bullet points here. So we know that we need to include 3 body paragraphs. So in addition to the 3 body paragraphs, we should also always have an introduction and a conclusion. So here you will find the boxes for the introduction and the conclusion. So the first question a lot of people have is well, the introduction's at the beginning and the conclusion's at the end. So why are these boxes next to each other? And the answer to that is because oftentimes the introduction and the conclusion are quite similar to each other with one major difference. But oftentimes they're very, very similar. So with regard to the graphic organizer, it makes sense to kind of group them together. So here we go. So in the introduction here, you'll notice, and this is the case throughout the graphic organizer here. I'm going to zoom in so we can see what's going on here. In each box here, here we are for the intro. There will be some text here to kind of guide your work, okay? So this is telling us in the introduction box, we should begin our introduction by restating the theme or context to begin, and make sure we preview your essay by giving a brief overview of the rest of the essay. So if we need to start by restating the theme or context, the theme or context can be found on the task page. So here we go here, historical context, right? I'm going to blow this up a little bit too. So the historical context is right here on the task page, okay? So what we need to do is we need to reword this in our own words to begin our introduction. And that's what we should be doing. So the French Revolution, 1789 to 1814, which included Napoleon's reign, is considered a major turning point in world history. This revolution led to major changes in France and other nations and regions of the world. So the historical context, basically, like we said the other day, kind of sets the stage for the essay and tells the reader what the essay is going to be about. So by rewording the historical context, this makes for a good introduction because you are telling the reader what your essay is going to be about. Now, it's important that we don't copy the introduction word for word from the historical context for obvious reasons, being that copying something word for word is not really a skill. And the thing that you should think about is the introduction is also the person who's grading this essay, this is their first impression of your written work. So if you just copy the introduction word for word, from the historical context, the impression that the grader is going to get is that you don't have the ability to kind of understand what you're being asked and rephrase this in your own words. So what you want to do is you want to use the historical context as a starting point, but you want to reword this in your own words. You don't want to copy it word for word. And I think that's an important tip. So that's how you're going to begin your introduction. You're also going to want to make sure that you kind of explain to the reader what they're going to read about, preview your essay by giving a brief overview of the rest of the essay. So in the task page, it tells us what are the different things that we need to be talking about in the essay. So this is a good place to start with regard to previewing the rest of the essay. So after you restate the historical context, you might say something like, there were many causes of the French Revolution, and the French Revolution had profound impacts both inside and outside of France. There. Now you've restated the context and you've kind of previewed the rest of your essay through the use of this task page. So that is essentially what you should do in order to complete the introduction box. We'll come back to the conclusion at the end. But the next part of this is the body paragraphs, and I'm going to zoom out so you guys get an idea of kind of what the total page looks like here. So there's 3 body paragraphs, right? So we've separated this sheet, this part, into 3 different boxes: body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3. So one section for each body paragraph, and you'll notice that these body paragraphs correspond with these bullet points here. Okay, so there's one body paragraph box for each of these bullet points here. First one is causes, second one is impacts inside of France, last one is impacts outside of France. So the graphic organizer is built the same way. Now, the task page said that we should use 5 different documents in our response. So evidence from 5 different documents. So in each body paragraph, I gave space for 2 pieces of document evidence. Now, 2 times 3 is 6. You don't need to use 6. You need to use 5. So you might end up leaving one of these boxes empty. Okay, but there's a space dedicated here for document evidence. There is also a space for outside information, and there's also a space for analysis. And this is the case for each section of the body paragraph part of the graphic organizer. So we're going to zoom in again because I want to take another look at what are some of these kind of important tips that we're seeing here on the left. So for body paragraph 1, where we should be discussing causes, we need to make sure that we discuss political, social, economic causes of the French Revolution. So some things that you should probably consider are the estate system, first, second, third estate, unequal taxation, and the unequal treatment of the third estate. You might want to discuss the economic crisis. So this is, France being kind of broke, essentially, and you could find information on that in your notes. And you also might want to mention Louis XVI and his Queen Marie Antoinette spending all the tax money on themselves instead of reinvesting it into society. So as far as causes are concerned, these are all the things that I'm going to expect to read about inside of the essay. So what you want to do is, through the use of document evidence and outside information, be sure that you discuss all of these things. So basically, you're going to use the document packet, which has been provided to you yesterday, and you're going to kind of pick document evidence out of that document packet that discusses causes. Okay, so that's first. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to complete the outside information section, where you discuss all of the other related outside information with regard to causes. Another important one here would be like the Enlightenment, right? So you should be discussing Enlightenment here, right? You should be discussing the reaction to absolutism, right? So all of these factors are causes of the French Revolution. So through the use of document evidence and outside information, you need to discuss all of these things. So whatever you don't discuss through the inclusion of document evidence, you want to discuss over here, you could just use bullet points for in the outside information box. And the last box that's part of each body paragraph section of the graphic organizer is this box over here for analysis. Now, I know we spoke the other day about analysis and kind of what it is and how it works. But what I've included here in the graphic organizer here at the top is a selection of analysis sentence starters that if you start with these sentence starters, it will kind of push your writing towards analysis. So you can see, this means that, this is important because, if this never happened is always a great one. here. So if you write a sentence, that starts with one of these sentence starters, that's kind of pushing you towards the inclusion of analysis. So for each body paragraph, let me zoom out so you can see all of them. For each body paragraph, you're going to have to include analysis. So use analysis sentence starters, at least one per body paragraph, to include a piece of analysis. Now, it is important to remember that analysis goes beyond a restatement of the facts, and analysis can be an inference that you make about the subject based on the information that you've presented. Okay, if this never happened is a great one. So, for example, if you discuss Louis the 16th and his wife's spending, tax money on themselves instead of reinvesting it, if this never happened, and then go off on that. You know what I mean? That's what you should do. So the important thing about analysis is typically not one sentence. Analysis is a well thought out and expanded explanation followed through to its logical conclusion. So think about analysis as kind of a long-winded kind of explanation to the reader about the inference that you're making based on what you're presenting. So that's pretty much how the graphic organizer is built. We have this part of the graphic organizer that's dedicated to the body paragraphs, and then we have this section of the graphic organizer that's dedicated to the introduction and the conclusion. I don't expect you guys to finish the whole graphic organizer today. That is not my expectation. So what the expectation will be for today is that you guys complete the introduction box here and one body paragraph box. Okay. So in order to be considered completed, this assignment should be a completed introduction box and a completed body paragraph 1 section, all of these boxes here. Okay. So when you're done with the intro and you're done with the first body paragraph section, make sure you submit or turn in the assignment so that I can give you credit. I understand that, the second and third body paragraphs, as well as the conclusion section of the graphic organizer, will be blank, and that's okay. I will return the assignment back to you after I give you credit for the completion of the intro and the first body paragraph to be used for attendance tomorrow. So just as a reminder, I do have virtual office hours between the hours of 10 and 11 a.m., and then another virtual office hour between 1:20 and 2:20. So if you have questions or need help with any of this, feel free to stop by the virtual office hours. I will post the link on the stream of our classwork, of our Google Classroom also, and you should have gotten one previously in your email and added it to your calendar also. But I will put the link in the stream anyhow in case you need to reach me that way. So if you need me, I am here for you via, the Google Meet that I'm using for office hours, or you can email me. If not, good luck. And when we come back tomorrow, we will continue with the graphic organizer, and we will talk about body paragraphs 2 and 3, as well as the conclusion. So just to recap, make sure you do the intro box, make sure you do the body paragraph 1 section, and make sure you submit it, even though it's only half full, okay? So enjoy yourselves. I hope you guys got some extra sleep on an asynchronous Wednesday. You didn't get up at the crack of dawn. And I'm here if you need me. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.